Have you wondered why some people command respect while you feel practically invisible? Why is it that some people are heard while you are constantly being talked over? Being a social doormat is like having a welcome sign tattooed on your forehead. I used to be that person, constantly disrespected and walked over by everyone around me. People frequently interrupted me while I was talking, as if my words held no value. Do you ever feel like a spectator in your own social life watching from the sidelines? In the past, people would frequently cancel plans with me at the very last minute. I remember the sting of standing alone because someone decided my time was not valuable. It felt even worse when people made cruel jokes at my expense in front of others. You might laugh along, but inside you feel your quiet confidence starting to slowly fade. This cycle of being a social doormat happens because of the subtle respect signals you're missing. You might think you're being nice, but you are actually showing habits of instant availability. Stop exhausting yourself by constantly proving yourself to people who do not even see your worth. Mastering the art of boundary setting is the first step toward reclaiming your social power. Having a reaction big to small insults often shows others that you are easily affected. But here is the thing. It is not about your personality or who you are inside. It is actually about the signals you did not even know you were sending to others. Today, we are going to change those signals and transform how the world finally sees you. No more being the person that everyone overlooks or the friend who is always ignored. It is time to stop being a doormat and start commanding the respect you truly deserve. It took me years to realize that disrespect isn't just a random act of cruelty from others. I discovered there is one specific behavior that, once I stopped, changed everything about how the world treated me. The truth is, you might be accidentally sending out respect signals that invite people to overlook your value. Respect is a language, and right now, you might be unknowingly speaking the dialect of a social doormat. What if the problem isn't them, but the silent broadcast you are putting out to everyone you meet? These unconscious signals tell the world that they can treat you badly without facing any real consequences. To cross the invisible divide and gain quiet confidence, you must stop 4 specific behaviors immediately. Each of these habits acts like a beacon, signaling to others that your boundaries are up for negotiation. We are going to move through these changes, starting from the easiest to implement in your daily life. We will conclude with the most powerful move of all, the ultimate key to shifting your social status. First, we will address how poor boundary setting makes you appear weak and overly accessible to everyone. Then, we will look at why having a reaction big to every minor slight actually undermines your authority. We will also dive into how instant availability prevents others from valuing your time and your presence. Finally, we reach the main pillar of respect, which is the difficult yet vital habit of proving yourself. Once you stop these behaviors, you will notice a dramatic shift in how people perceive and treat you. Are you ready to flip the switch and finally command the high-value presence you deserve? Remember, people only treat you the way you subconsciously teach them they are allowed to treat you. Moving from a social doormat to a person of influence requires a complete rewrite of your internal signals. Get ready to examine these behaviors closely as we break down exactly how to fix each one. Let us begin with the simplest change that will set the foundation for your new, respected identity. Have you ever wondered why people treat you differently before you even say a single word? It often starts with respect signals that your body sends out without you even realizing it. These unconscious signals act like a hidden blueprint for how others are allowed to treat you. Most people who feel like a social doormat are actually broadcasting an invitation for disrespect. This isn't your fault, but understanding this invisible divide is the first step toward true change. Evolution has hardwired our brains to read subtle social cues in just a fraction of a second. Before your first greeting, the other person's brain has already decided how much power you hold. If you are constantly proving yourself, your body language reveals a deep-seated need for outside validation. This desperate energy often triggers a reaction big enough to make others feel they can walk over you. Think about the way you stand when you enter a room full of influential, high-value people. Are you shrinking your shoulders to take up less space, signaling that you do not belong there? Every tiny movement tells a story about whether you are a leader or just another face in the crowd. Instant availability is another subtle sign that screams your time is less valuable than theirs. When you drop everything to please someone, you are sending a signal that your boundaries do not exist. This lack of boundary setting is exactly what transforms a capable professional into a social doormat. Your tone of voice carries weight, often revealing more than the actual words you are choosing to speak. High-pitched, fast-paced speech can signal anxiety, making it harder for others to see your quiet confidence. When these signals are sent, they create a feedback loop that reinforces how the world perceives you. People don't always mean to be cruel. They simply react to the respect signals you are projecting. If your signals suggest you lack self-worth, others will instinctively treat you as though you have none. This is the technical explanation for that invisible feeling you have struggled with for so many years. It is less about personal flaws and more about the psychological patterns we exhibit in public spaces. Proving yourself constantly creates a frantic vibration that pushes people away instead of drawing them toward you. Real respect is earned through the signals of quiet confidence that do not require any loud shouting. To stop being a social doormat, we must first rewire these deeply ingrained, unconscious physical habits. It might feel overwhelming to change everything at once, but we will start with one simple move. We are moving from the easiest fixes to the most powerful shifts in your social presence. By mastering your respect signals, you can finally reclaim the value that you have always deserved. Get ready to see exactly how these subtle shifts can transform your interactions from the very first moment. Let us dive into the specific behaviors that will signal your high value to every person you meet. Stop reacting. Most people think they need to fire back, but that is exactly where you lose. The first step is the simplest, but it is the one most people get wrong in social situations. When someone insults you, do you feel your heart rate spike and your face flush with heat? It is a natural instinct to defend yourself, but your reaction might be sabotaging your social value. Why give them the satisfaction of seeing you flustered or losing your cool in the heat of the moment? The first behavior you must stop immediately is reacting to disrespect with a big emotional display. We often believe that a loud, aggressive defense proves we are strong and will not be pushed around. In reality, reacting big signals to everyone that the other person now has total power over you. When you explode or get defensive, you are essentially admitting that their words have wounded your ego. This signals a lack of boundary setting and shows you are easily shaken by the opinions of others. Every time you provide a massive reaction, you are confirming that they have successfully triggered you. It turns a minor moment of disrespect into a public spectacle where you appear to be losing control. Think of reacting big like throwing gasoline on a small fire they started just to watch burn. They wanted a reaction, and by giving it, you are fueling the flames of their disrespect further. Instead of putting out the fire, you have made it the center of attention for everyone watching. To reclaim your status, you must learn to starve the fire of the emotional oxygen it needs. The recommended response to disrespect is actually much quieter and far more devastating to the aggressor. Instead of shouting, try simply naming the behavior for exactly what it is without any added emotion. Calmly look them in the eye and say the words, "That was disrespectful," and then just stop. By stopping the talk immediately after, you create a heavy silence that the other person must fill. This shift in dynamic forces them to sit with the awkwardness of their own poor social behavior. You are no longer proving yourself. You are holding up a mirror to their lack of class. If those words do not feel right, you can use alternative phrases that carry the same weight. You might choose to say, "That is rude," or simply state, "I do not appreciate that," clearly. The key is not the specific phrase, but the calm energy and the boundary setting it represents. Each of these responses signals respect for yourself without needing to shout it from the rooftops. When you refuse to react big, you remain the high-value person in the room through quiet confidence. You have reclaimed the power they tried to steal by showing their words cannot touch your core. This simple change transforms you from a social doormat into someone who commands natural, effortless respect. Wait until you see how this worked on a friend who thought they could mock my job. Have you ever had a friend who makes jokes that actually sting your pride? I had this one friend who used to call me a burger flipper repeatedly. Every time we were out with a group, he would find a way to mention it. For a long time, I used to just laugh it off to keep the peace. But deep down, I felt like a social doormat every time I let it slide. I realized that my quiet confidence was being eroded by my own lack of boundaries. Then came the night when I decided it was time to change our entire dynamic. We were sitting at a crowded table when he made that same tired burger joke. My old instinct was to laugh or prove myself by explaining my career goals. I remembered that reacting big is exactly how you lose your power in social settings. Instead of firing back with an insult, I simply stopped talking and looked at him. The silence stretched out, acting like a mirror that forced him to see his behavior. Calmly, I looked him in the eyes and said those two words. "That's disrespectful." I didn't yell or get angry. I just named the behavior for exactly what it was. The group went silent as they watched me set a clear and firm boundary. To my surprise, my friend's mocking expression vanished, and he looked genuinely stunned. He apologized immediately, his voice losing all the previous arrogance it had held before. From that moment on, he never mocked my job again or treated me like a doormat. Naming disrespect is a powerful signal that tells the world exactly how to treat you. But disrespect doesn't just happen to your face, it happens when you're too available for it. This next behavior is about the valuable commodity you are currently giving away for free. You might think being constantly reachable makes you a good friend or a reliable worker. In reality, being easy to reach is actually transforming you into a low-value target for disrespect. When you are always available, people naturally begin to stop valuing your precious time and energy. Why do you think patients wait an hour for a doctor but expect you to reply instantly? Is your time a common rock found everywhere, or is it a rare and precious diamond? You respect the doctor's expertise precisely because you know their time is in high demand. If the doctor stood in the lobby waiting for you, you would trust their skill far less. High-value people avoid proving yourself through constant speed. They let their scarcity create natural respect. Constant availability sends a negative respect signal that you have nothing more important to do. It suggests that your own goals and priorities are secondary to someone else's minor request. Stop giving a reaction big to every notification. Use quiet confidence to stop being a doormat. Reclaiming your time requires a shift in how you handle everyday communication with those around you. Instead of firing back a reply instantly, try waiting 1 or 2 hours before answering messages. This small delay shifts the power dynamic and reinforces the idea that you are highly productive. It teaches others to respect your schedule rather than expecting you to drop everything for them. When someone asks for a favor, stop yourself from giving an immediate, people-pleasing yes. Instead, tell them you will check and let them know once you have reviewed your schedule. This simple act of boundary setting shows that your time requires careful consideration and planning. By not responding instantly, you are building quiet confidence and signaling that your attention has value. Remember the unconscious signals we discussed earlier that tell the world how to treat you? Nothing says low value louder than a person who is constantly waiting for their phone. Taking back your time is the ultimate way to transition from being invisible to being respected. You are effectively training people on how to treat you by how you manage your clock. I used to be the person who replied at 11 p.m., but everything changed when I stopped. Think about why you never see a doctor rushing to answer their phone mid-surgery or consultation. We respect doctors precisely because we have to wait for their valuable time and expert attention. This powerful respect signal happens because they prioritize their mission over every single incoming notification. When you respond instantly to every request, you are signaling that your time has no real value. You stop being a person with a life and start behaving like a social doormat for everyone. To fix this, you must master the art of boundary setting and eliminate your instant availability. Instead of giving an immediate yes to every request, try using a simple, high-value phrase. Tell them, "Let me check my schedule and I will let you know later today." This small delay shows that you actually have a busy life and prioritize your existing commitments first. It moves you from a place of proving yourself to a position of quiet confidence and control. This rule also applies to the digital world where we feel constant pressure to reply immediately. Most messages do not require an instant answer, even if the notification feels incredibly urgent right now. I recommend waiting at least 1 or 2 hours before you finally hit send on that reply. This buffer zone breaks the expectation that you are always standing by for other people's convenience. When you finally do answer, your response carries more weight because it was clearly deliberate and thoughtful. Stop reacting big to every vibration in your pocket and start reclaiming your personal focus today. You are teaching others how to treat you by showing them that your time is a commodity. This shift from instant access to scheduled availability is a primary pillar of projecting high-value status. People will naturally begin to value your presence more when they realize it isn't guaranteed every second. Transitioning from being constantly available to selectively reachable transforms how the entire world perceives your worth. This isn't about being rude. It is about establishing a hierarchy of your own time and priorities. By applying these response times, you refine the doctor analogy into a practical daily habit for success. Watch as the respect others have for you grows the moment you stop being so easily accessible. I used to pride myself on being the fastest replier in every single group chat. I mistakenly believed my instant availability proved I was a reliable and high-value person. My phone was essentially an extension of my hand, buzzing with every single minor notification. I felt a constant need for proving yourself, fearing that any delay would look like weakness. Even at 11 p.m., I would drop everything just to answer a completely trivial text. Responding late at night is like being a shop that stays open 24 hours. It may be convenient, but nobody ever considers a convenience store to be a luxury. Would you actually respect someone who is at your beck and call every single hour? I was functioning as a social doormat, allowing everyone to dictate my daily schedule. I eventually decided to stop being so accessible and began practicing intentional boundary setting. The shift was subtle at first, but the results transformed my social world almost overnight. Instead of demanding my attention, people suddenly started asking if I had any free time. This shift in language was one of the clearest respect signals I had ever encountered. Friends who used to ignore my presence were now thanking me for making time. They finally recognized that my schedule was valuable and my attention was a limited resource. Setting these boundaries did not push people away. It forced them to value me more. Do you want people to ask for your time? Or just take it whenever they want? Reclaiming your schedule is the primary step toward cultivating a presence of quiet confidence. You are not a 24-hour service that must be available to every person constantly. When you stop being so reactive, you begin to command a higher level of respect. My life shifted when I stopped treating my time like a commodity given away for free. But what happens when disrespect isn't a text message, but a direct action against boundaries? Now we're moving into the territory where most people get scared and lose their quiet confidence. Are you more afraid of a 30-second awkward conversation or a lifetime of being walked over? The third behavior you must stop immediately is the habit of accepting bad treatment from others. Too many people swallow their pride and tolerate disrespect simply because they have a fear of conflict. Accepting bad treatment is like leaving your front door unlocked and wondering why your house gets robbed. What is the true cost of your silence when someone treats you like a social doormat? Every time you stay silent to avoid conflict, you are training people to treat you poorly. This signals to everyone around you that their negative behavior is acceptable and has zero consequences. Breaking this cycle requires setting clear respect signals that define how the world must interact with you. Imagine a friend who constantly flakes on your plans and expects you to just be okay with it. Instead of making excuses for them, you need a firm script to reclaim your high-value status. You should say, "This is the third time you have canceled, and that is not okay with me." Don't worry about being mean because you are simply establishing a boundary that demands basic human respect. This shift from being a doormat to setting boundaries is essential for your growth and authority. The workplace is another common battlefield where people often steal credit for your hard work and ideas. When a coworker takes credit for your project, you must call them out immediately to stop the theft. Address the situation right then and there to ensure your contribution is recognized by the entire team. You aren't being difficult. You are protecting your professional brand and demonstrating your quiet confidence to others. Stop proving yourself to people who don't value your time or your contributions in the first place. Remember that you are the one who teaches people how to handle your time and your energy. If you allow small disrespects to slide, you are essentially inviting larger betrayals into your life. High-value individuals don't wait for respect to be given. They command it through their consistent social signals. Expect a moment of tension when you first start speaking up, but realize that tension is growth. You do not need a reaction big or dramatic to show people that your boundaries are non-negotiable. I had a coworker who tested this every single week, and here is what happened when I said no. This was the ultimate test of my new boundaries and my journey toward quiet confidence. For months, a coworker dumped their unfinished tasks on my desk every single Friday afternoon. And for months, I did them, playing the role of the reliable social doormat perfectly. Every time I accepted their work, I was sending a signal that my time was worthless. I was trapped in a subscription service where I paid the price with my own energy. How much of your valuable time is currently spent doing someone else's job for them? This cycle of compliance had become an expected routine that drained my authority and respect. But I realized that once you stop paying, the client finally recognizes your true value. One Friday, the shadow of my coworker loomed over my desk with the usual pile. They expected the same instant availability and easy compliance they had enjoyed for several months. Instead of the usual apology, I looked up and prepared to set a firm boundary. I did not need to have a big reaction or get angry to make my point. With calm, quiet confidence, I looked them in the eye and delivered a simple message. I told them no, that is your job, and I went back to my own work. The air in the room shifted instantly as the weight of my words landed heavily. What would happen in your life if you finally found the courage to just say no? My coworker was stunned into silence, realizing the old dynamic had vanished in an instant. By refusing to be exploited, I forced them to recognize the boundaries I finally set. They never tried to dump their unfinished work on my desk from that day forward. The exploitation stopped, and a new sense of professional respect began to grow between us. I stopped proving myself through extra labor and started proving my value through firm boundaries. This was the moment I realized that respect is earned through what you will not accept. But we have not even reached the final boss of these high-value behaviors just yet. We've reached the hardest behavior to change and the most powerful move you can ever make. This particular shift is the hardest behavior to change, but offers the greatest rewards. This is the fourth behavior you must stop immediately, the habit of proving yourself to others. This is the main pillar behavior I promised you at the very start of our journey. If you master this, you will never feel like an invisible social doormat ever again. Have you ever wondered why we feel the desperate need to explain our every single move? When you constantly explain and defend yourself, you signal that you don't believe you are enough. It is a subtle message that screams you lack self-belief and still need external validation. Every time you justify a boundary, you accidentally invite others to try and break it. Think about it. When you explain yourself, who are you really trying to convince deep down? Explaining your worth is like a king showing his taxes to prove he is actually royal. A real king never needs to show the paperwork because his presence speaks for itself. This habit often transforms you into a social doormat, begging for permission to exist comfortably. It is the difference between pleading for respect and naturally commanding it through your silence. Quiet confidence doesn't require a 30-minute lecture on why you made a specific choice. Confident people move through the world with an internal certainty that requires no outside defense. Instead of over-explaining, they respond with simple phrases that command instant respect and authority. You might say something like, "I am comfortable with my decision," and leave it at that. Another powerful response is simply stating, "I know what I am doing," with total calm. Boundary setting becomes effortless when you stop feeling the need to win everyone's approval. It takes immense courage to stand in the silence that follows a short, confident answer. Do you truly believe you are enough, even if nobody understands your reasoning today? Breaking this cycle is the final step in moving away from being a social doormat. Stop reacting big to every question and start trusting the weight of your own perspective. This journey toward quiet confidence requires you to trust your decisions without seeking outside permission. I used to spend 10 minutes defending every simple choice I made to everyone. But now, I use 6 words and let the results speak for my character instead. I used to give a 10-minute presentation just to justify one tiny, insignificant work decision. The difference in how people reacted to my new approach was like night and day. Back then, I acted like a social doormat, constantly over-explaining every choice I made. Which person would you trust more? The one who stammers or the one who knows? I once spent 10 minutes defending my ideas whenever someone questioned my professional judgment. Over-explaining was a neon sign screaming that I did not trust my own instincts. I replaced those long, desperate justifications with a simple and powerful 6-word statement. Instead of a speech, I simply say, "I believe this is the right move." Those few words carry more respect signals than any lengthy presentation ever could. Suddenly, the room shifts and people stop questioning my logic to follow my lead. This is quiet confidence, where your presence outweighs your constant need for validation. You must understand that confidence is contagious, spreading to everyone who witnesses your resolve. Confidence is like a scent. You do not need to explain it for others to notice. When you stop proving yourself, others naturally assume you have nothing left to prove. This shift is a masterclass in boundary setting, protecting your mental energy and status. I watched as my professional authority grew by speaking less and meaning much more. Offer your conclusion tomorrow without the usual laundry list of reasons behind the choice. Notice how quickly the atmosphere changes when you stop acting like you are on trial. Why keep pleading for permission when you can state your direction with absolute certainty? True leaders do not beg for buy-in. They project a vision others want to follow. This habit solidified the main pillar of quiet confidence in my daily professional life. All of these behaviors are not about adding something, they are about taking something away. What if your strongest instinct to gain respect is actually the very thing destroying it? The fourth behavior you must stop immediately is the desperate psychological urge to prove yourself. Letting go of this habit is arguably the hardest change you will ever have to make. Yet, mastering this shift is also the most powerful move in your journey toward quiet confidence. Your brain tells you that defending your every move is how you earn a seat at the table. In reality, that constant need for validation acts as a glaring signal of your own deep insecurity. When you over-explain your decisions, you inadvertently tell the world that you do not feel enough. Defending yourself against every minor criticism suggests that your self-worth depends entirely on their approval. Respect signals are not sent through loud arguments or frantic lists of your many achievements. High-value individuals understand that their actions speak much louder than any defensive explanation ever could. We often feel an itchy, burning need to justify our choices to anyone who dares to look. This reaction turns you back into a social doormat, begging for permission to exist in the room. You think you are building a bridge of respect, but you are actually digging a hole. True quiet confidence is found in the silence that follows a decision you know is right. Every time you stop yourself from proving your worth, you reclaim a piece of your personal authority. It feels like losing the battle, but it is actually how you win the entire social war. People start to wonder why your silence feels so heavy and your presence feels so significant. By refusing to play the game of proving yourself, you finally start to command real respect. Take a breath and realize that your worth is never up for debate or public negotiation. It is time to stop being your own defense attorney and start being your own leader. This is the mindset shift that finally ties every single lesson we have learned together. Most people believe respect is earned by adding new skills or complex social achievements. The truth is far simpler because quiet confidence is actually earned through the power of subtraction. Think of gaining respect like sculpting a masterpiece from a solid block of rough marble. You do not add more stone to create a statue. You chip away what does not belong. Your strong self is already there, currently buried beneath layers of habits that weaken your presence. We have identified the 4 weak behaviors that act as those layers of excess stone. First, we looked at reacting big, which signals to others that you lack internal control. Then, we addressed instant availability, the habit of treating your time as a cheap commodity. Third was accepting bad treatment, which tells the world you do not value your own dignity. Finally, we examined the trap of proving yourself to people who are not even your equals. These are the weak behaviors that obscure the high-value leader you were always meant to be. By removing these 4 signals, you allow your natural authority to shine through effortlessly. Are you truly willing to let go of the version of you that pleases everyone? Many people cling to their social doormat habits because they feel familiar and safe. But these respect signals only emerge when you stop hiding behind the need for outside approval. It is a fundamental shift from being a defense attorney to being your own quiet leader. You are not learning to be someone else. You are unlearning who you were taught to be. Every time you stop a weak behavior, you reveal a part of your inherent quiet confidence. This process of subtraction is the most direct path to commanding the respect you deserve. So how long does this transformation actually take for a person to see real results? Is it a life sentence, or can you change your entire social dynamic by next month? Transformation has a timeline, and you are not destined to remain a social doormat forever. In just 90 days, you can evolve into a completely different person with true quiet confidence. Where will you be 3 months from now if you decide to change absolutely nothing today? Changing your social habits is like training a muscle. It hurts before you feel the strength. Can you commit to just 1 week of feeling uncomfortable to reclaim your personal authority? It takes only 1 week for a new, powerful behavior to finally start feeling natural. That initial friction fades away as your mind begins to accept these new respect signals. Once you push past those first 7 days, the momentum starts working in your favor. Within 1 month, you will perform all 4 behaviors automatically without even thinking about them. Your brain rewires to prioritize boundary setting and scarcity over the trap of instant availability. At this stage, you naturally avoid having a reaction big enough to surrender your personal power. You are no longer proving yourself because your presence now speaks for itself every single day. The 1-month mark is when your daily struggle ends and real authority begins to take root. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to reinforce your new identity as a high-value individual. After 3 months of consistency, you will have completed a total transformation from doormat to respected. This 90-day journey turns quiet confidence from a distant dream into your permanent reality. People who used to overlook you will suddenly notice a shift they cannot quite explain. They will witness a person who commands respect without ever needing to argue or explain themselves. This transformation is not a life sentence. It is a strategic shift that yields immediate results. Are you ready to stop being invisible and finally claim the respect you deserve? Your journey from doormat to authority is not a marathon, but a series of disciplined choices. This 90-day evolution starts with one move, and here's your specific challenge for today. Now it is your turn to step out of the shadows and command the room with authority. I remember the first time I actually used the wait an hour rule while feeling absolutely terrified. But when I saw the positive response, I knew I could never go back to being invisible. Picking your first move is like knocking down the first domino in a massive chain reaction. Once that first tile falls, the rest of your social transformation becomes completely inevitable and powerful. You have learned about 4 specific behaviors that are currently draining your precious social respect every day. These behaviors act like leaks in a bucket, draining your authority before you even speak a word. Today, I am asking you to choose just one of these habits to stop immediately and permanently. Which of these 4 moves feels the scariest to you right now as you listen to this? Is it the urge to stop reacting big when someone tries to get under your skin intentionally? Or perhaps you struggle most with limiting your instant availability to everyone who calls your name. Maybe your greatest challenge is to finally stop proving yourself to people who simply do not care. Whatever you choose, you must commit to freezing that behavior starting the very next hour of today. Are you going to let another day pass being invisible and ignored by your peers and colleagues? The 90-day journey we discussed begins with the courage to make this one small, significant change. Watch closely as the people in your social circles begin to shift their entire perception of you. You will notice a subtle change in how they wait for your response and your valuable input. This is the moment where your quiet confidence finally starts to take root and grow within you. Do not wait for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment is happening right now, this second. Taking action is the only way to move from being a social doormat to a respected leader. I want you to observe the results with an analytical mind and a calm, focused heart today. Your peers will be confused at first, but soon they will respect your new, firm boundaries. This experiment is the foundation upon which you will build your new, high-value social presence forever. Every time you resist an old habit, you are signaling your worth to the entire world around. Choose your move right now and prepare to watch the entire world change around your new self. I will see you in the next one as we continue this incredible transformation toward respect together.